In this episode today, we're going to be speaking to my mate Dyzio about his battle with cancer earlier on in this year, 2023. It's raw, it's real, it's moving, but this episode isn't about trauma and despair and fear, although all those things are definitely present. This is more a story about bravery and looking towards the light, and even in the most terrifying of times, being able to find hope. This was a difficult episode for me to record, and at the same time very rewarding. Dyzio is an inspiration. So if you're looking for something raw and real, you found the right place. This is Hayward and Stuff, and I'm about to talk to Dyzio. Dyzio, cheers.
Salute.
Welcome.
Thank you.
First of all,
Shalom.
Shalom. It goes without saying, but I thank you for coming up north from all the way down south, because it was a bit of a drive to come up here. A little bit of history is needed of how me and Dyzio know each other. And so we went to school together for like 2 years in Sunnyview, Torremolinos, Costa del Sol. We weren't in the same class.
We're like 2 years apart, I think.
2 years apart.
Yeah.
And we didn't know each other that well, but, you know, our social groups overlapped.
Yeah.
And we just we got on those couple of occasions. And then...
But very limited knowledge.
Super limited.
Super, don't know much about each other
like
at all.
to the point where it's like you just kind of got an overall vibe of the person.
Yeah.
But in your teens, it's like...
I didn't know much about
You're on fucking automatic anyway. And then, decades pass and I haven't heard from you, seen from you, and why would we? And then on Facebook, and because, you know, we're friends with everybody on Facebook, even people that we don't associate that much with, on Facebook stories, the first time I think I even saw you on Facebook stories was when you were going to get a checkup to see if you had cancer.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's heavy. And then from that day on, I was kind of almost in like a voyeuristic way following your story, because you were then, you know, you were keeping people posted, if you like.
Trying to a little bit. It kind of like trickled away towards the end. But
yeah, I noticed that.
It helped me sort of like cope with it, I think. So I was like panicking. I was a bit like...
So was that an intentional thing when you started doing the Facebook stories?
Yeah, it was, I think. I just wanted to like document it a bit, you know.
How long from when you went to go get the checkup did you get your diagnosis?
It was a while. It was kind of like slowly ongoing. I knew there was something wrong, and then it popped up in the MRI, like I had like a routine MRI type of thing.
Yeah.
And they noticed something wrong, and I got a letter before Christmas saying like there's something wrong with your bone marrow. And I tried to kind of buried it a little bit, like I tried not to think about it too much, you know, like I was going to get like looked at, and I was just trying to not to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then I knew I had these lumps on my neck and my head, and I was like, kind of like concerned something's wrong with me, but at the same time not try to let it like swallow me up. Mm-hmm. And then I got referred to the doctor, and initially she was saying, oh, it's probably like a little cancer or something little that needs a little bit of little chemotherapy, but like it might be something more dangerous. So like we have to like do further tests, and I was getting like a bone marrow biopsy.
How do they do that? That sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's probably one of the most painful things I've endured. And basically, they lean you on like a bed. You kind of like go into like a fetal position on the side.
Yeah. And
they like numb the shit out of your like buttock area. It's like behind it's like your hip area, because they take that thing out of your femur, I think.
Okay. What, the marrow?
The bone marrow, yeah. Like they drill into like maybe it's like your hip bone or like one of those bones, and they like basically they numb it and then like pierce it with like a kind of like a piece of metal, and then they like take a sample of it, and I don't know. It felt like the pain was shooting through my leg. It was like quite bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite traumatic, but it's like I was squeezing my partner's hand, and like It was, I don't know. It was,
And at this point, you're still like, you don't know what the diagnosis is, right?
yeah, no, I still don't know how bad it is at this point, and I'm just like, whatever, I just got to go through these hoops, it is what it is, and I just got to like get on with it, so to speak. But it was like really scary at the beginning because you didn't know what was wrong with you, and this was a bit after like the first doctor visit. The first doctor visit was scary because you don't know if you're dying or not, and she makes you feel like a bit more like don't worry about it too much because like it's all quite treatable.
Yeah.
She said actually like the simple lymphoma, like the sort of non-aggressive type, is a bit like harder to treat, and like the more aggressive one is almost like easier to treat. But
Okay.
it's like a weird little thing about it. But anyway, then I got the bone marrow and I was waiting for my results, and then they came back like quite bad. Like I had this sort of like cancer, DLBC, it's called, like diffuse large B cell lymphoma, and then they went for like an MRI, and I had like biopsies of my glands, and I think that's what this sort of like said I've got this stage 4, and I was like quite worried. And the MRI showed like I was like all over my skeleton, like it was like through my whole body.
What, the cancer cells?
Yeah, like
Because when you hear stage 4, like,
yeah, you get worried because what they do is
that sounds like a really bad stage.
It sounds like a bad stage. I never hear of stage 5. That's like why it's
Right,
worrying, right?
Right. People only get to stage 4.
Yeah. Stage 1 sounds good,
Yeah, I'd
like
have-
you're early, but all it means is like stage 1 and 2, it's either very local, stage 1, stage 2 is spread in one half of the body below the diaphragm. The diaphragm is like the limiting factor because like I suppose it takes a bit like more from the cancer to transfer beyond the diaphragm. Is something to put biologically, I imagine.
Okay.
And they've done comparison between the lymph nodes in my groin and here, and there was like that's determined as stage 4, But like when I did a CT scan where they inject you with radioactive glucose,
Yeah.
because the cancer consumes, it's like takes all the glucose.
So it glows.
So it glows, yeah, because cancer reproduces using glucose instead of oxygen, which most cells use oxygen. It's like an inefficient way to create energy in a cell, but that's how they do it. So that showed up everywhere, like all was glowing, like all my whole skeleton was glowing, like it was cancerous, So it was like the doctor just said, like it's spread, severely throughout your body, like it just tells you, like without trying to like make it sound too bad.
Yeah.
And fucking scared, really scared, but try not to think about it and try to like do everything I thought I could do to help myself,
Not to be like really clinical about it, because this is your life.
Well, whatever.
But so there's a part of me that's like super fascinated by it, but from a very like I feel like it's from a caring and scared for you place. And so when I saw that on the Facebook stories, I was like, I wanted to reach out, but I didn't know if it was inappropriate because it's like I said to myself, like, yeah, but who are you, Hayward? Like, you don't know Dyzio, and does he not give a shit? And then I came to a point where I was like, okay, you're just gonna have to reach out. But it was at a point where you had gotten the diagnosis, and I think you'd started chemo. You were visibly going through it, like you could see on your face, like the chemo was doing what chemo does to people.
Yeah, you saw me when I was like,
yeah, you were recovering, right? Or you were not even recovering. You were still going through the stages of feeling ill.
I don't remember how long ago. I'll check my phone later just to show them earlier, really.
Yeah.
But
And I remember I was at this crossroads where I kept looking at your stories and I was like, dude, if you want to reach out, reach out. But then I was telling myself, like, if you reach out, you can't just bail if it starts getting worse.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like this weird thing where I'm like, if I'm going to reach out to Dyzio, I'm going to stick by fucking Dyzio if he cares until the end. And I know it sounds weird, right? Like it sounds weird, but I felt like there's a responsibility as a stranger if you're going to reach out to someone who's going through cancer and that you can't reach out like, oh, hey, I've got your back, but not if it gets too serious because I can't handle that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I guess coming from you, it's like it takes a lot for you to sort of be able to provide that. If it did get worse, it would be almost like jeopardizing your own mental health for, you know what I mean? I think it's
Well, I think that's something that I had to look within and be like, am I mentally strong enough to be supportive to someone if they're gonna go through it? And I was like, yeah, no, I am. And it was more important to me that I reached out and I was like, hey, dude, like,
I wasn't expecting anything, you know, like I'd be just happy to like meet people like when, you know, I was just happy to hear from anyone.
Did you have people reach out like that you hadn't heard from?
Yeah, a few, and like a few like the opposite. A few people who I haven't spoken in a while who they wanted to get in touch, and I like finally got in touch with them and said hello and that, and like I told them I'm going through cancer, and like they like almost like didn't
respond.
Didn't acknowledge it almost.
Yeah, it's interesting, right?
The bloke I'm referring to, he's like very hard to get in touch with anyway, you know, so he's very like detached from everything anyway, so I don't expect anything, if you know what I mean. I expect him to be like that, if you know what I mean.
I think that's it sounds a bit like twisted, but like not having expectations is a good way forward anyway. And then everything is like just oh, cool, because the disappointment can sometimes be more.
That's the definition of happiness.
Yeah, having no expectations.
Having no expectations of anything.
Yeah, and then flipping it and just appreciating what is there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
If you expect something, you'd be disappointed, aren't you? You're like setting yourself up for not being happy.
Yeah. There was one of your stories, you'd mentioned how you'd gone home and you had a bit of a moment, and I think you said that you trashed the place or something, or not trashed the place, but you had like
a little hissy fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I ask you what that was? Was that like a dark moment?
No, it wasn't too bad. It was just like my family, like nitpicking at little things, and I was trying to set up like this machine for like filtering water.
Yeah.
And my family was like telling me like it's bullshit, like you don't, you know, like, just trying to like tell me like it's not necessary, or that like just like it just got to me, you know what I mean?
Because I can imagine.
Because I was just trying to help myself.
Yeah, you're holding on to hope.
Yeah.
And then, and then if your family is like, it's almost like.
But it wasn't like mean from them or anything. They were just like trying to like, you know.
But no, it's not mean.
I just couldn't handle my shit. It's probably like little things that sort of like built up, and I just lost my shit.
Yeah, and I don't feel like you should have had to keep your shit.
The acquiring of the whole machine was stressful enough.
Really?
You know what I mean? So it's just like...
Yeah.
It was like a period of like stress, little things, and like dealing with things, and it wasn't right, and like, you know, just like a little bit of stresses that built up in the time, you know. Excuse me.
No, and I, you know, I can only put myself in the position of like how I feel like I would be like, and trying to keep my shit together, I think would be the hardest thing.
A lot of people were thinking like, oh, I would have just lost my shit and like had a binge out and just didn't give a fuck, you know. Like a lot of people would say
really?
like people say that it wouldn't, I don't know, they would go the other way, you know. So they were just like...
I think a lot of people probably do, right? When they find out that they've got something...
Yeah, like they might not make it the next year.
Yeah,
so
they're like, fuck it, let's get wrecked.
Yeah.
But you actually went the complete opposite way. You went...
Yeah. Even before my diagnosis, I knew something was wrong. I was starting like just getting like healthier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember watching, and you were eating super clean, and you were going on walks, and so from the
and that breathing, bro, it helped so much. Like
the breathing techniques.
Yeah.
And did that help to kind of, because it's got a meditative? Explain the breathing thing.
Well, it was like initially, like I got the diagnosis, and I was still going to work. I haven't started chemo, and like I started getting this like physical pain in my chest. I still get it. Like this pain started here, then it was down here. And like when I would go to work, I put my seatbelt on, it started hurting, and developed like a really strong pain. Like, and I was like having a hard time dealing with it, you know, because it was like the cancer manifesting itself in like something like physical that I could perceive for the first time. So it was quite tough. It was hurtful when I was sitting down, hunched over, and I was like not moving. The only thing that really helped is like going for a walk, moving, and like drinking a shit ton of water. Yeah. I mean, I started like getting to the point where I'd get like a stitch almost every day, like super getting all the electrolytes out of your system because I was drinking so much water. I got to a balance where I just like knew where it was too much, but I was like on the edge of like drinking too much water all the time because I just wanted to like flush the shit out of my body, you know?
Yeah.
And And yeah, no, just drinking loads of water and going for walks really like helped me not be in pain. If I sit down, like I used to play like I play a lot of Tarkov, Escape from Tarkov, and like it's a super stressful game. It's like it's made to be really, really anal and like really hard to like just really stressful. It's like a flight or fight like constantly, you know. It's like you're always thinking, oh shit, I'm gonna die, like it's, and you get all this adrenaline, like in the summer, like sweat just drips off of you, like oh, just so stressful, you know. And you just sit there and play this game, and you got all this like adrenaline running through your body, and you got not doing anything with it, and that's really harmful. I think that's what's part of the whole cause, you know, because I was really addicted to playing this game. And I wasn't looking after myself. There was other external stresses in my life. It was like a perfect storm, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I wanted to play the game because my friends were playing it, but I was like, nah, I can't play it. And I just stopped playing it and just, like, went for walks, and that really helped, you know? Because, like, I was just...
Doing something.
Yeah, trying to make my system do its thing, you know? Doing the breathing, which kind of helps you, drinking all these, like, mushroom stuff and... like turkey tail mushrooms and all this, like, yeah.
And did you feel like you were? Did you ever lose hope? And I know it's a really rough question, but like because you were doing all
I had
these
loads of moments where I'm just like I'm getting really scared. I'm gonna be dead, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I imagine you you wake up in the morning, it's like fuck,
Nah, none of those when I go to bed.
It's when you try to sleep. Fucking scary.
Yeah.
Fucking scary.
It's not when I wake up, because when I wake up, I just get on with it. It's like a day starting.
It's at the end of the day.
Yeah, when you like reflect and think about everything.
Okay, so let's. I don't want this whole episode to be
No, it's all right. I get really teary easily,
no,
I
realised that yesterday.
I'm just yawning, you know. I'm tired.
I realised that yesterday. But it's a fucking beautiful thing because some people can't.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, that's not good either.
Yeah, it's just emotional, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
how can you not like get emotional about it?
You know, I'll tell you now because, well, why not? But this morning I was really emotional because I hadn't slept very well.
No.
And I was talking to Briggy and I was like, and I'm very open with Briggy about feeling emotional. And I told her, I was like, oh, I feel really emotional. And I started because I was talking about like our situation and stuff. And I was like, and Dyzios had it so rough. And I just started crying. And I was like, and I mean it. I was like, I had tears flooding down. I was like, it's not fucking fair.
Well, it's not. It's not
it's
at all.
like, and
not for anyone.
And one thing is like the cancer that you've like. That's just I feel like one of the most traumatic things people can go through anyway. Yeah. That thing like, oh, am I gonna die?
Yeah. Like,
but then when I heard about your
existential crisis,
right? But then when I heard about the chronic pain that you've had with your back, and I was like, motherfucker,
yeah. It's not been easy
because I didn't know about that. And then because we've been talking, and then you were like saying about your mental health is. Yeah. It's been like
it's
rocky.
So much better than it has been in the last 10 years. But
right.
Like,
because of your fucking back. And I'm like, that's
mainly.
You can't give a human that and then like, oh, and here's about a cancer to do.
Yeah, and I've been dealt a great hand, and it's just how I look at it, you know what I mean? I just got to play the hand I have.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I love that attitude because it's like there's a realistic like I know what it is and I can only go two ways and one way is not great for me.
I just kept counting my blessings. Like I had so many things that were like positive that I couldn't be upset because there's so many good things. Like we call it quite sort of. We know what it is. We narrowed it down. There's a new treatment for it that no one else has gonna have that I'm gonna have. And it's like all these like little things. You know, I had a job that was paying me. You know, the sick pay for the whole treatment time. I was like secure.
Yeah,
it was like my family supported me. Like everything was sort of like in my favor. So I was like, yeah, I was happy about that. And just kind of my blessings. I had loads of blessings.
I remember looking at your stories and I was like, how the fuck is he so positive? And I was like, and I was going through my head, I was like, shit, man. Like the stories alone were inspiring because it was like, because you were going through like my worst nightmare. Yeah. Like my
because you dealt with it, so you like it's fresh.
Yeah.
For you.
Well, no, like my mum died of cancer 13 years ago, but it happened very suddenly. It was very aggressive, and it was
traumatizing.
And it just kind of sticks. And so I'm always thinking like, oh, when's it my turn?
A lot of people who had like family who dealt with cancer really reached out and connected. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Yeah,
that's like where you see some of the beauty in humanity, right? Where people like they have that need to reach out a lot. It's a lot.
I mean, look at all those stories. How I've connected with so many people since that I've seen and hanged out with that I haven't have in 10 years or decades. You know,
Yeah.
this is really nice.
Yeah, there's some goodness that comes
Yeah.
out of it. I imagine it's gonna. Well, it'll be with you for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah, no, I grew as a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously.
So how far on in the chemo did you get the all clear? Like
Halfway through, 3 months in, really early on.
and did you believe it when they said it?
No.
Take me through that.
Well, it's just like you don't believe it, you know, like, all right, yeah, they said it's all clear, but it's all a bit subjective. It's not all black and white, and like, I still feel the pain, and like, why are they giving me any more chemo? You know, if it's all clear, it's like, it's just like a precaution, obviously. So it's like halfway through, I was like, I don't want to have any. I had 2 more, and on the third, like the last 6 one, I was like, I don't want any more. So I was just like, a bit sort of, I don't know. I was really like unsure going to the last chemo. I was thinking I'm hurting myself more than giving myself good.
So
But I trusted my doctor. My
how many
consultant.
sessions of chemo did you have?
6.
6. So by the third one, they gave you the all clear.
Yeah.
And then they're like 3 more bouts
Goes
of
on a
chemo.
scan, yeah.
And the chemo's really takes a toll on the body, right?
Yeah, like the first 3 weren't, like first one I barely felt, was almost normal. The second one felt a bit rough. Like the third one felt a lot worse. And then 4th and 5th, like you're already like turning into like this old fragile man, you know? Like you're like,
so even though you've got the all clear, like you
yeah,
can see
you still
yourself deteriorating.
You got to still deal with like, yeah, because it's really toxic. It's just like cytotoxic. It destroys all your cells. So yeah, it's rough. It's like death. You like inject, you know, it's like a death in you.
Yeah.
It's killing.
It's like
you
you escape death on one side, and then you keep injecting more.
Yeah, because it's also cancer causing. Like the chemo itself is also carcinogenic. Like so it's just like, you know.
To put it in perspective, how many months ago was the last chemo session?
That was July 11th.
Have you come to a place where you believe that you're cancer free now, or is there still a part of you that doesn't want to feel that safety? Does that make sense?
I feel I'm cancer free, you know, but there's still like a constant worry, like it might come back. You know, like
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Bitch. Bitch cancer.
Like after like 2 years, because they will do like a scan in like 11 months. I had like a polar R-CHOP treatment, which I was like the first few people in the UK to get that. It was like approved by the FDA before I was given it, like days before, you know, and it's like considerably better than other chemos. People who've had the chemo they were going to give me that failed are given this one again just to see, because it's so much better, see if it will work for them. So it's just like, I've seen so many people with stories how they're struggling for such a long time with it, you know, and people like saying that they've got no hope. They've like run out of options, you know, like nothing they can do. And it's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
But yeah, no, I feel in a good place. I'm just got to like in 11 months from my last session or whatever, they're going to test me again. Because if you have more than 11 months and another cancer reappears or something, the line of treatment changes. But if I get that back in 11 months, then we could go to like the best treatment there is, where they do CAR T therapy. They take cells from your body and they bioengineer them, they change them, and then inject them back into you. It's like super, super fucking expensive, but like it's a miracle treatment. But it's not worse for your body. It lasts like it's like a year on treatment. It takes a whole year, but like it's almost as bad as chemo, you know. But it's just really good as well. It helps a lot of people.
The few times where I met you, Dyzio, my overall vibe was that you were this happy-go-lucky dude with an overall positive energy, right? So when I saw you on stories, it kind of fit what I knew of you up until then. And now, having met you for 2 days, I think I'm right.
Yeah,
the happy-go-lucky.
I don't know about lucky, but the happy go. The
happy go with like a positive thing is true, but there's layers, right? And so let's talk about some of those underlayers.
Yeah.
Because I never knew that you struggled with depression. Obviously, why would I?
No.
No one knows. But not so much and tell me if you're cool with talking about this, but not so much that you struggle with depression, but depression at a young age,
Yeah.
which is like,
But
it's
13,
it's a tragedy,
14,
but it's
yeah.
also like, I feel like it's something that a lot of teenagers now are going through more than what our generation did.
Probably.
And I'm sure our generation, I mean, I know I struggled with depression as well, but I was later on.
It's probably all to do with like neglect as a child. It's all to do with childhood trauma that probably we don't even remember.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
How do you like, I don't know if the question even has an answer, but how do you navigate that as a teenager? Knowing that you're struggling
I don't know.
with depression and yet still having that positive. It's like being depressed and positive at the same time seems like such a fucking, what's the word, like paradox.
Yeah.
But you definitely managed to appear that way.
I don't know. I think it was just like my situation, my environment made me depressed, and I'm like quite reflective of my environment, you know. So like, I'm quite like, what's the word, you know, like empathic to my environment, or I'm almost like, you know, I reflect of my environment. My environment, like my dad was like a bit angry sometimes, and he had his moments where he couldn't control his mental health and that. So it was just like, I don't know. For example, I wanted to get out of the house as soon as I could. You know, I was 16. I moved out of the house, and like involuntarily, I had to like escape from the house. But like, it wasn't like abuse. It was just like being scared of like if there's gonna be a reaction. Just getting to a point where I don't know, just like a lot of little traumas, and you just sort of
Unhealthy.
like, yeah. It was just probably like damaged from a young age, and it's just sort of like I don't know. You can't navigate it, can you?
No.
You just
Cope.
I don't know, cope, yeah. I used to get angry, balled up, just like hit my bed and like stay indoors for days and shit. Have like food strikes, wouldn't eat for days or
Did
so.
you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I never did that.
Yeah.
I definitely did like the smashing things up.
Yeah.
And like I remember having like just screaming matches with my mum when I was like 16 and then punching the walls and I don't even know what we were arguing about, but I was definitely like mirroring her.
Yeah.
You know, this is where like this anger came from. Yeah. And then every relationship from 16 onwards, somehow my anger would manifest in the relationship and it would always be their fault, right?
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't. But in my mind, that was like my...
It's always fighting. She's probably pinpointing things, and then you just do the same thing back, try to like win the argument, you know.
Yeah,
like
I remember like no partner could ever win because I would argue, and then if they argued back, it's like, well, you don't love me, and then if they didn't argue back, it was like, well, see, you don't care.
Oh, it's so terrible. I used to be bad at it as well, you know. Been in like difficult relationship where like I wasn't healthy mentally, and the women I was dating weren't healthy mentally. They had like problems with them, and like we couldn't help each other. We made each other worse. You know what I mean? So like that's what my sister told me anyway. Like it's hard for you because like she recognized problems in me, which I probably wouldn't recognize. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's like you need someone who's like really stable, so you could like, you know, you can't help each other because you both.
Yeah, you're both.
Yeah.
If you're both kind of toxic and reactive.
Yeah.
Then how can you?
Yeah.
But the problem is if one person is toxic, this is what I believe, and the other person's super stable, the super stable person will often not put up with the toxic one
of course
if they're older, right? Like if they're an
It's not about toxicity. About toxicity, yes, but like it's also just like being mentally unstable, depressed sometimes. Like you're not necessarily toxic, you're just like depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't as toxic. You know, I was quite like just self-loathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, you say it's not toxic, but if you're...
It is certainly toxic because it's like you withdraw and it is a negative like drain on the people.
It's just the difference is it's not intentional.
Not like active. Yeah, it's not like offensive.
And I think like a lot of people that go through mental health issues...
And that grows on you because you know that you're a pain in the ass, and you know
that's when the guilt comes in.
Yeah.
Which is even better because then you've got another layer of.
Oh, it's great! I got no reason to feel shit about myself.
Yeah. No, and it becomes a problem because then all those like unhealthy coping strategies, they all become justified because it's like, what the fuck else have I got?
It's like a vicious circle, isn't it? Like it gets worse.
Yeah,
and you get yourself into it quite happily.
And this is
then you got a reason.
Yeah. And this is why I think, when people have really unhealthy habits, like whether it's eating or risky behaviors or drugs or whatever, and other people are so quick to judge them. But I think like, no, that's the only way that a lot of us manage to cope.
Yeah.
Like
escape mechanism.
Yeah,
isn't it? Just
that was our coping
finding
strategy.
Some stability.
Yeah, and it's only when you're older and you start unpacking all this shit and becoming aware of it, then it's like, okay, are my old coping strategies serving me anymore? And that's when it's like, I'm going to have to stop eating the junk. For me, it was like, you're going to have to slow the drinking right down, which is quite ironic because on the last podcast I did, I was completely pissed.
Really?
Yeah, I was completely drunk.
Oh, right.
But like I had to go sober for 4 years before I had any sort of like realization that alcohol was really bad for me.
Yeah.
I had to unpack some old shit.
Yeah.
How far do you feel like you are on your like mental health journey?
I think I'm a lot better. Like especially like just like my whole approach through cancer. Like I haven't lost my shit. It's been a while since I've like right before I got cancer, there was a moment where I was getting like on the edge of like losing my shit, and I was just like a bit, I call it fuzzy. You're just so nervous. You like your body's vibrating. You know what I mean? You're so stressed out, and you're like breathing heavily, and like I was just like almost unable to handle my shit because our stepson was moving back in, and he was gone for such a long while, and it was like such a
big life change.
Yeah, for us, because we were living with him for the longest time, and he moved away, and then we were like we moved into our own new place again because he wasn't there. It felt different,
Yeah.
And I felt like I was getting ruined or whatever, and I felt like, you know what I mean, just like, and work was stressful, and I didn't know like how he was gonna be, It was just like a lot of things to unpack, and I was just getting really like overthinking it, which what I do, I just like worry about everything instead of just trying to think positively about it, because like you're kind of projecting all the worst things. I am anyway. I'm always like, oh, what's the worst thing that could happen? Get prepared for that, and anything else is going to be a relief. Yeah.
And all the meanwhile, like you've got less and less space to look after yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
it's just stressful. Yeah, it's just being stressed out, isn't it? It's really bad. And then you get worried that you're stressed, and like you're saying, yeah.
So what do you do? Like, if you had to give someone like your 5 top tips on how to like help your own mental health, what do you do to like actively, intentionally help your mental health?
For example,
coming from someone who's had like decades of roller coaster with mental health.
Well, something like triggered you and you fall into a pit, for example, and like, I don't know. It's a rough one. It's just the easiest thing is to keep busy. Don't allow your brain to sort of wander, and don't give yourself too much free time. Just like find things to do, things to learn, things to read, and just have like things. Try to find something interested in, and something to latch onto, like get a hard on about. That's why I say, like find something, get a hard on about, and like pursue it, and have things to do, and try to. I mean, it's hard when you have social anxiety and things, but like reading, photography, things you could within whatever your comfort zone is for stuff. Like I just try to keep myself really busy. I have a bit of like a shopping obsession, but it's like it's not an obsession because like it's not like I'm in debt or anything. I just like I like buying shit, I like buying tat, and I like looking at stuff, and I buy loads of stuff from Amazon, and I just like return it because I like buying shit, you know what I mean? so it's just like, I don't know, it's like shopping therapy, isn't it? But like things to play with, whether it's a new game or like a little gadget or something stupid to build, that doesn't cost a lot, but it just like keeps you occupied, doesn't it? That's like one tip.
Yeah.
And like another tip would be definitely like exercise. Just force yourself to like go for a long walk, like being within nature, and just be in the environment a little bit. Get out of your little hole, change your scenery somehow. You know what I mean? Just like go somewhere. Like it's hard for some people, but like even if it's like a different room or just like enjoy a different space, or I don't know. That's my other tip, and I don't know. If I come up with any other ones, I'll like come back to it. But
I think that the first point that you make about finding joy in like little things is
it's just like a nice cup of tea, or just like say, oh, I'm gonna have a nice cup of tea and I'm just gonna enjoy it. You know, like a simple thing that people take for granted every day, like, oh, tea, another tea, and oh, you have another tea. It's like find like little I
think like intentionally working on gratitude is such a big deal. Like, and you say like going for a walk in nature, like so many people say it, but it's fucking true. Like if you can go for a walk in nature and you're grateful for your surroundings and you just appreciate the little things, I think it's impossible to feel bad when you're in a space of appreciation. Do you know what I mean? Even if you've got like a back layer of depression.
It's a form of escapism as well, isn't it? You know, like if you like go travel somewhere, isn't it? It's like escapism. It's like this similar sort of scenario.
Escapism is a difficult one for me because
you just get lost, you know, like you're looking at trees and you're not thinking about anything else. It's just like you're just looking at the trees. You're not like,
because when I hear escapism, I automatically think going back to the days where I had a drinking problem.
And that was like your form of escape.
Yeah, and so my escape, I always have to like be. I feel like I have to be really
but I'm talking
grounded
normal
and
people.
present. Yeah, oh right. Yeah. I have no idea who they are. I've never met them. Never met those fuckers.
You know, like city breaks.
I go to my country home.
Yeah. You know,
you know, the more and more people that I meet and speak to, the more I wonder, like, does anyone not have some mental health issue? Like.
Everyone does.
Everyone's struggling. Something. It's just some people have fucking got it worse.
Oh, some people I meet and I hear how they're like treating their kids like it's just like stupid shit. It's just like
that's not healthy.
Yeah. You just think like, oh wow, like I feel so like empathic towards the children and just like the whole scenario. I can't look at some things or like even some photographs are like I don't know. I feel the emotion and like I think about everything. You know, it's bad.
Yeah.
Try to be ignorant, but it's really hard.
Have you always been in touch with your emotions? Because we can talk.
Probably not.
Because we talk about something that's heavy that you've been through, and then you just have like a natural flow of upset, and it's like it seems so normal to me, but I know how other people.
The thing is, I'm not upset. Nothing about me is upset. Like when I just get emotional, it's just so like it's like emotional. It's like watching like a movie, like something in a movie that you get like teary about. It's like love, you know.
Yes,
it's sweet things.
Yes.
Not like I'm not like pissed off
because
and crying. I'm just like more like it's 100. More like it's like it's so sweet.
Because it doesn't seem it is. It's authentic and it seems normal to me. But I've been on a journey of trying to be more in touch with that. Yeah. So for the longest time, I couldn't cry, or I couldn't let myself be upset.
When was this though?
When it was sad stuff.
When you were a teenager?
No, this is right up into my mid-30s. It's recent.
Just trying to be too much of a man and trying to be like.
Yeah, I don't think it was intentionally trying to be a man. I think it was more of. I know what it was. It was on the few occasions where I did get upset, I couldn't stop. So so the first time I cried after...
Because you suppressed it so much when you did burst the bubble, it was like, oh my God, there's a flood here. And yeah.
It was so heavy and it's happened 3 or 4 times. And the first time it was... So like my dad passed away when I was 15 and I suppressed the shit out of that. Yeah. Like I blocked it out. Mm-hmm. I didn't cry for that. I cried on the night when I found out for 5 minutes and then it was like a click and I moved on. And then it was only until I was 22 when I broke up with a girlfriend at the time. And I remember we broke up and it was like a really drawn out breakup. Like it should have ended way before and it was really stressful. And I was upset what seemed like because of the breakup. But before I knew it, I was bawling my eyes out. And I was mourning my dad from like 7 years before.
Yes, it all everything.
And I couldn't stop crying. Yeah. And I remember I got scared because I was like, fuck, is this forever? Sort of thing.
Am I going to cry forever now? Like depression
and because the crying was so painful because I hadn't allowed myself to just feel it naturally. Yeah. And anyway, so that would just be like, that was my pattern up until my mid-30s. And then I had a bit of a breakthrough in my 30s where I was like, it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
And like, I remember my dog died a couple of years ago, and I just
The dog was so bad when my dog died when I was in America. I was hit really hard.
It's hard, right? And I
Yeah.
just allowed it. I was like, I'm not going to block it up.
Yeah, I think that helps you when
Yeah.
when you just like go through another like loss or something, and you just like go with it, and you like
Yeah.
be open about it with whatever. It's just how you feel. Like, what are you hiding, right?
Yeah.
Like you grow up a bit. You're not
Yeah.
worried about what people think. You just
Exactly,
like,
exactly.
you know.
It's so good to be able to do it. And I had it, just a few months ago when I lost my job.
Yeah.
Because it was a shocking thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
You're
was just
worried, like, what are you gonna do? Like,
and it was a mixture of feelings, right? It was like
Yeah.
like losing a loved one in a way. Like there's
Yeah,
there's
'cause you
denial,
had, like a little puppy.
denial, sadness, anger. Like I went through all of them. So like now I try to be more in touch with it, and it's like it's been fucking beautiful to see another grown man.
Yeah.
Just like
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah.
I mean,
Man, child.
yeah, but I think more man than a lot of men that I
Yeah,
know.
no, for
and like the
sure.
child bit's all good. Like let's keep our damaged
Yeah,
children in
definitely.
here. Do you know what I mean?
Of course.
It's a lot.
You gotta keep your inner child alive, you know, like.
Yeah. And I really appreciate you like being vulnerable. We've talked about vulnerability.
Yeah.
But not vulnerable might be the wrong word, but being open to talk
Yeah,
about these
leaving
things.
yourself so open to
Yeah.
to your inner life. Yeah, no.
Because
no
a lot of
worries.
people just don't do it.
No, I don't care.
Good.
It's like if someone can take something away from it, like benefit
Yeah.
someone else, like you know.
I mean, that's why I like doing
It's
this.
kind of like a therapy session, isn't it? Because like we talk about our problems and like get each other's opinions about it and our views. It's just like it's probably quite therapeutic, really, as well.
Do you remember what you were saying about vulnerability? Because you had a take on it, which I had never thought of it before, and it gave me like a different
I
perspective.
think I was
on
saying what's so vulnerable about it, like you know, like who's gonna do something with that information? How are they gonna hurt you? Like what they're gonna say? Oh, you're a little baby because you're
Yeah.
crying. Like what sort of like attack is that? Like,
My mantra is like there is strength in vulnerability, but actually vulnerability is the wrong word. It's like, but I don't know what the right word is. There's strength in being able to speak about those difficult
being
situations.
comfortable about your emotions.
Yeah,
And-
that might make you feel insecure, or that I've felt insecure. I mean, there's a lot of projecting that I do, right? Like we
Yeah.
all do that shit.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I try not to, but it's really hard, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like probably human nature, isn't it?
Yeah, but it is.
A lot of it is human nature. I always say everything's human nature. Just us being nosy as people. It's like a human nature to be nosy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, and it's like I try to keep on top of that. Like sometimes it's like, all right, is this voyeuristic? Is this is this healthy for me? And am I getting anything out of it? Like why am I being so nosy at this point? And then like, is it harmless or is this a problem?
Well, don't get out of hand. I just like being nosy. Like you know, all right, I'm being nosy a little bit. I'm sorry. If it's out of hand, I will stop being nosy.
Yeah, right.
It's not a necessity for me. You know, it's not an obsession. It's just like a curiosity, isn't it? It's like we're all curious. Like
Yeah.
we all want to know. So quite like radio, you know, amateur radio, and they're all like talking, like people up north talking to his friend down south, and they're all on the radio, and you could tune in and listen to like these old men talk about their garden, like you know the daffodils are doing great, and it's just like I find it quite interesting, like listening to old men talk about like crap, because it's all like they're all like technical people because they're all in that hobby. So like, just what are they talking about? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I had to fix this boiler, and I'm like, I'm interested in this. Like, tune in, like sit
Yeah,
down.
right.
Yeah, it's quite fun. I don't know. It's natural. I think you know.
I think it is as well.
Yeah.
Because we're also, I don't know, we're all so different and then the same at the same time. People are.
Yeah, we're so similar, but also unique.
Yeah.
Everyone is like completely like unique in their own little way, you know.
Yeah.
But you see like copies of people, you know what I mean? Like you see like a certain person. It's like we walk around and it's like, oh, that
I know
looks
that.
like this guy, you know. Oh yeah, did you just see our friend who walked past and like didn't he look like this guy? It's like yeah. You can see like little replicas of people just.
Yeah, because it blows my mind a little bit. Like if I'm in a public space and I'm looking at everyone, I'm like, every single person is their own individual, unique story. But it's like, how can they all be so unique when there's so many of us?
Yeah.
But they are.
Yeah. There's
But
a few
they
like
are.
types and characters, but that's also quite like subjective from your perception and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
snapshot of time. It's like,
Absolutely.
what's that mean? Like anyone could like have a day where they're completely not themselves, you know? So like,
Yeah, and we make judgments to make sense of the world, right? It's like if you look
Judge
at all the gym bros, and like you instantly think like, oh, they're all, you know,
they're all lads or like football and or
misogynistic,
whatever. Yeah.
dumb.
But like, you don't know. They might be like really in touch, and you really don't know. I try to take people at face value and like try to give them like even a chance to like resurrect their name or something. Like I'll give people chances. I feel like people deserve chances, but at the same time, like, you know, I'm not gonna.
I try to as well. I have this like struggle with, you know, there's a lot of people that I've met and then gotten close with, and then have you had this where you've met someone and then years later you find out that they weren't that person that you thought they were? You know, like especially people that might have like narcissistic personality disorder, and they present as this charismatic, nice, giving person, often like love bombing you at the beginning of the friendship or relationship.
Yeah,
and then you find out they're fucking with you.
You know what? I think I've developed a skill to just filter people out really easily early on. When I was growing up, I just like, as soon as people started waffling shit, like I could tell right away. He's like sucking up to me. Like what does he fucking want from me? You know, like it's just that sort of street mentality. You know, like just being really like paranoid about people. You know, and just like not. You know, like you could know when you could talk to someone and you're talking to them, or you know when someone's just like telling you a tale or something, you know, trying to make himself sound like something. You can just like tell, if you know what I mean. People are genuine or not. Yeah, I think I found that skill quite easily.
It's a good life skill to have.
But some people are really good at fucking lying,
at masking it.
Yeah.
Because especially
liars, just compulsive
and charming ones, right? Ones that like are seductive and.
People who are funny are the worst because they're funny.
Dangerous.
You want to hang out with them. They're fucking funny. It's a good time. You're laughing.
Yeah.
Why?
And you feel good around them. So you believe it's a good thing.
Yeah.
And then they stab you in the back.
Yeah, just like you think they got your back and suddenly they disappear out of your life. You know. Yeah. You think they're good friends. I mean, they probably are, but like, you know. But suddenly they're not, and then you're like, "What? What the fuck?"
I mean, I can only share like from my experience. I remember always trying to be the funny guy for everyone, but I was the worst friend. But like especially in my 20s, because I was just on coping. I was just trying to cope, and so like my thing was like, "Please like me," and I felt like I knew how to make that happen. By like, you know, I'll be.
I figured it out.
I know how to connect with you. I know how to make you laugh. You're gonna like me, and then I'm safe. But then, God forbid, should you ever need anything from me, because then, like, I'm just at home being anxious on a regular day to day. But I've grown since then, Dyzio, and I feel like I can be a supportive human being to another. And I pride myself on it now because it's quite new to me.
Like we all grow. We go through a little journey, you know. Like it's tough, you know. Yeah. I've kind of learned to, I don't know, I've quite exposed to a lot of trauma in my life, and I'm just like learned to like kind of deal with it in a way. And yeah, I don't know. Again, my experience has made me who I am. So it's just like everyone's experience is different and unique. So it's good to like do things that sometimes you don't want to do, and you don't know what you might learn from it, right? You don't know what you might take away from it. I try to like take away something from something, kind of like an episode of South Park back in the day when I used to like do an episode. It's like, so what we learned today, you know, like.
No, yeah, and you've said a few times since you've been here, like you like doing things that make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think that's like just such a healthy mentality. Like do things that make you feel a bit uncomfortable.
Because you're gonna be in a situation where you're uncomfortable, aren't you?
You're
be like,
and that's when the magic happens, man. There's magic in those things that you're resistant to. That's when
you don't know what you might enjoy. Like you always got to try new things, new hobbies. You just keep like putting yourself out there, right? Keep like trying stuff. You don't know, you might be really good at it. Right?
Yeah. It might be like you don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
It's like people that are. I mean, it's a loose connection, but it's like people that are single that desperately want to be in a relationship. Don't worry about it, man. Like you don't know who's around the corner.
You just worry about you for now. Like,
just work on you.
Don't try to work Yeah.
Yeah, don't look for someone yet. Like, look for you.
Look for you. Yeah.
Right.
Find your inner peace.
Dyzio, thank you for coming on, dude. It's been
You're
real.
welcome.
And we'll do a catch up.
Yeah,
do another one.
yeah. We'll do part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See how you get on.
Definitely. Thank you for having me on. It's nice to talk about stuff and enjoyed it.
We'll do it again. Cheers, dude.
Ciao.
Liquidities.
Yeah, real pressure in the media tonight. Yeah, but the music got me feeling just fine. Yeah, real pressure in the media tonight. Yeah, but the music got me